Hello, and thank you for coming today. My name is Shelly House. I am an adjunct instructor with the College of Education at UCA in instructional technology. I also have been an educator in Central Arkansas for 11 years. My specialty is technical theater, but I've also taught art and English. And this fall, I will be starting at the Department of Education as the fine arts specialist there. Okay, we've got 14 in, so just looking for, I believe, one more, but we can go ahead and get started because you can always join in after this screen is gone. So it's joinpd.com, JRSHRU, and you'll be able to see that later on as well. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about some tech tools for communication. What I've tried to do is take what was really useful for me in the past year as a totally virtual instructor and make it accessible and bite-sized so that you can apply it to your classroom immediately. There is a lot more from all this information, of course, that you can get into if you're interested, but you should be able to pick this up and run with it immediately during our session. So I've got too much stuff on my screen. There we go. The first thing to know about is the UCA College of Education. Of course, this session is being presented through UCA's College of Education, and they have lots of programs for you that you can see on the screen here. You should be able to see also in your browser the actual website that's being linked here. So if you're interested, you can actually bookmark that website and come back to it later. But it has all of the College of Education's programs there that you can browse if you are interested in enrolling. So we have 4 goals in our session today. The first goal is to participate in interactive media from a student's perspective. That's what we're doing here with Pear Deck. We're going to take a look at some of those capabilities here in a moment. We're going to develop a list of resources to implement immediately or to implement over time. These resources are going to be quick to use and a little harder to master, but you don't have to be a master of them to make good use of them. We're also going to simplify Audacity to create a sample audio recording. So you're going to actually make your own recording in our session today using Audacity. We're also going to explore Discord both as participants and as moderators or server owners. And that is a link to the handout that I just gave you. That includes all of the resources that we're going to be talking about today. So first thing I would like you to do, you probably just saw a bunch of tools pop up on your screen. Your job is to draw a picture. Draw a picture of a happy student. Notice at the bottom of your screen, you have different brushes to choose from. There's an eraser, there's a text tool, there are different colors that you can select. Draw a picture of a happy student. Take about a minute or two and do that. As you are drawing, as the teacher, I can click on show responses and see what you've created. So beautiful smiley faces. Yes, excellent. Very good color use. So I can actually see what everyone is creating as they're creating this. This one is beautiful. I can see what they're creating, which is very exciting. It's fun for students to be able to break up a lesson and do something creatively here. This draw tool can be used, of course, in art settings, but it can also be used to create your own emoji. If you ask students how they're feeling about a particular point in the lesson, they can draw you a face that describes how they're feeling without having to write out words. So really useful, but this is a premium feature of Pear Deck that they make you pay for. So sometimes only useful in the first 30 days. I can click on hide responses and then it just goes back to this regular screen. So Why are we looking at this interactive media? We are looking at engagement. When you take interactive media and you smush it in with good communication, then you end up with engaged students and engaged teachers, because the same tools that create interest in our students can create interest in us too. It's important as educators that we are able to flex our creative muscles while we let our students flex their creative muscles too. So, a big theme of today's session is to not be afraid to try something new. It's okay if it doesn't work just right, but try it because it's enriching for your students, but equally important, it's enriching for you too. It's good to try new things and keep a fresh perspective on your content and your subject. So, Pear Deck is what we're using now, and this is just a link. You can click the words Pear Deck there. It probably will not show up correctly on the side of your screen, but that is a link to the Chrome extension. The Chrome extension for Pear Deck is a free add-on that integrates with Google Slides. With that add-on, you can create interactive presentations like this one that can be used synchronously or asynchronously. And they do give you a 30-day trial of the premium account when you first sign up. But the premium account really only includes two extra features, the drawing tool and another that I'll show you here in a second. So thank you. Here is another example of a type of question that you can ask. Have you used Pear Deck before? And then your students can respond in this multiple choice selection. So I can see that 8 people have responded so far, 9 people, and I can also see the responses. So one person has used it already, 11 people who have answered so far have not. Now it's 3 and 11. So this is also a nice way to get just a quick poll of your students. You can look and see who answered what question in what way, but you can also use it just this way where the answer's identity is anonymous and can contribute to kind of the informal assessment of the classroom. So let's look at another. What's the square root of 4? So this question is specifically a number question. It is asking your students for a number entry, which of course would be useful in a math class, but can also be useful if you are asking students how long you think or how long they think they need in group work. Do they need 2 minutes or do they need 10 minutes? But you can ask them that using this tool. So I can see the responses here. Yup, everybody knows that the square root is 2, except we have one outlier over there. But it's fixed, right? So it's very immediate. Now, sorry for dogs. Let's look at one more. Now, this is the other premium feature, and it is a draggable icon. So at the top right of your screen on the map, there is a purple pin. You can click that and drag it where you would like to go. So if you want an all expenses paid trip, where would you go in the world? Yes, you can share the results with the class. You can either do that after the fact, or you can have it on the projector like I'm doing now and show that to them. While you are choosing where you would like to go, I am going to mute myself and try to reduce some of that noise. Apologies. There we go. The joys of online teaching. So now let's take a look at where we would go. Ta-da! So this one shows me all of the markers all at once. So we have 2 people who would like to go to, is this China? China's very large, so I'm gonna think it's China. But I can see everybody's answer here. I would go with this individual in Australia. That's where I want to be. So Those are the features of Pear Deck that you can use. Remember, drawing and the draggable icon, those are premium, but the others you can use for free as much as you want to. And they are very easy to implement. Just play around with it. So, we're going to be talking about three big tools today. We're going to talk a little about Google Slides, but we won't get real in depth with it. Instead, we are going to talk about Audacity, which is an audio mixing software. We're going to do a quick little beginner's guide to it. And I've also given you a couple of web tutorials if you want to go more in depth with it later on. And we're going to talk about Discord. Discord is an interactive multimedia chat platform. It's really similar to WebEx Teams or Slack if you've used those before, but it's more informal. It is given moderation settings for anyone to use, and you can kind of create it to be whatever you want it to be. You can use it synchronously and asynchronously, and it really is a wonderful way to build connections with students. So let's begin by looking at an example virtual classroom. Virtual classrooms got real popular last year, so you probably have some familiarity with these. You can see the example one either on the right side of your screen or by clicking the link here that says example virtual classroom, and play around with this a little bit. So this is just a 1 week sample that I pulled from my art class last year. In this sample, I include a welcome screen for the week and then a day for each actual course meeting that tells students what they need to do, what's due soon, what the goals are, and any particular tips or tricks, as well as examples on the little digital bulletin board there. One thing I hope you've noticed are the audio buttons. So you can click on those audio buttons within the actual slides presentation and hear what I recorded for my students. So this is that slides presentation. And if I click on this audio, salut et bonjour, bienvenue à la semaine 5. I'm sure I said that wrong, which is fine because this is not French class and so you can actually record those quick little messages for your students. It increases engagement dramatically. Another thing that this virtual classroom did with the audio and the text is it reduced the amount of confusion that my students and their parents felt and reduce the number of repetitive questions that I would get from them, because this really it took away a lot of the guesswork from the kids. Also in this, in between each slide, I used it as a virtual art gallery so that I could display excellent work by my students, which of course was extremely motivating in our completely online class. We do not have a hallway in which to hang artwork, so instead students were really motivated to make the digital gallery here. So notice each day has one of those recordings. Students can just read the words if they want to, or they can actually listen to my voice telling them the same information, but with actual human tone and human emphasis, and sometimes dorky little jokes. And those flew really well. The buttons over here are also clickable. Students could check in with me on a Google form so I could see how they were doing affectively. They could join our Zoom room and they could access our full class calendar by clicking those buttons. So those things were all really, really useful in my classroom in particular. You're welcome to bookmark this or to make a copy of this if you would like, because what I am wanting to show you is how to insert those lovely little audio clips. So from there we go. Let's take a quick moment to talk about how you might want to use audio in your presentations. So you have a couple of options here. You can write out your response in the chat or in Pear Deck, or you can unmute and answer. How might you use audio? How could you see that being useful for you, for your content, and for your learners? Yes, introducing new vocabulary. I think that would be especially important for English language learners or for English students or English speaking students who are learning a foreign language, because sometimes words are not pronounced the way that we think they're pronounced. Faux pas. If the first time you saw the word faux pas, you didn't pronounce it fox pass, then you're just a genius, right? Faux pas, fox pass. Weekly reminders and important information. Absolutely. Yes, book talks, because a book talk is a talk, right? Writing it down doesn't have the same impact as actually talking about it. And of course, there are lots of other tech tools that could be useful for that as well. Some that are more interactive, like Flipgrid, for example. Has anyone used Flipgrid? Yes, important deadlines and reviews, detailed instructions. Perfect. How about students who struggle with reading? So, if you teach high school, for example, you are going to have students in your class who are reading at a college level, and you're going to have students in your class who don't read at all, and they're doing an excellent job of hiding it. So, if you had the instructions both in written format and in audio format, that student is no longer embarrassed to ask for instructions in a different way because they're there for everybody. They're not calling themselves out, but they're still getting what they need. Yes, I love Flipgrid too. Yes, accessibility. Um, it could be a matter of simple preference, right? Some kids just want to hear. And if you are completely online, creating that sense of instructor presence is very important. A student that you may never actually see ever, a student that you may never talk to on the phone or see in Zoom, they may feel like they know you and that you care about them just because they hear your voice regularly. That really does make a difference to kids who are feeling isolated because they're learning at home, of course, because of a pandemic or because they're homebound for whatever reason. That can really create an affective support there with very little effort on your part, but a great impact on theirs. Yes, it very much helps with modifications, for sure. And you can even send audio recordings to specific students instead if they need slightly different instructions or different modifications as well. Okay, good ideas. So, adding audio is extremely easy. I made this really plain tutorial for you. If you click on the link here, you'll be able to create your own copy to keep in Google Drive, or you can also access it on the digital handout that I gave you a little bit earlier. In this, I have added GIFs, so moving images, as well as plain language to show you how to add that audio. So the trick to audio is that it works exactly the same as inserting an image, which is just insert and then select audio. The problem with it is making sure that your share settings are correct. So the first bit of this is devoted to creating a folder with open share settings. When you first start to upload audio, create a folder that is only for audio files. This GIF shows you how to do it, and then the next slide tells you how to do it in plain language steps. So some of us know how, but it never hurts to have a reminder. Create the file first, and then change that folder's sharing permissions. You change the folder's sharing permissions by right clicking it, clicking on share, and then changing that bottom rectangle to anyone with the link can view. Anyone with the link can view. So the GIF here shows you that, but it's also written out in plain language step by steps here as well, so that you can choose which is easiest for you. Then you're just going to upload your audio. Where do you get your audio? We're going to talk about that next. So you upload your audio the same way that you would upload a document or an image to your Google Drive, which is just by clicking the new button in the top left corner and then file upload, selecting it from your computer and letting it go. That's how that works. Then you are going to insert the audio into slides like I showed you, the same way that you would insert an image. But because you have set that audio file in Google Drive to open sharing permissions, everyone's going to be able to listen to it. If you skip that step and just upload the audio, you can't really predict who's going to be able to hear it and who's not. So you want to make sure you have that open sharing folder there first. So again, those steps are also written in plain language as well for how you can do that. So I hope that is helpful. You are going to be using those steps here in just a little bit. So you can always come back to this tutorial if necessary, and I'll be here to help as well. So after you know how to use audio in Google Slides, now you need to know how to record your own. So I sent you an email yesterday requesting that you download Audacity. If you haven't done that, that's okay, because you should see it on your screen right now. You should see options for Windows, for Apple, and for Linux, which is usually what Chromebooks are based on. Ashley, is that accurate? My Chromebook is Linux.
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
In Audacity, you have a choice. I'll click on it. You have a choice between Windows, Mac OS, and GNU/Linux. If you're on a Chromebook, this is the option to choose. Is that right, Ashley?
Possibly. Some Chromebook OSs, depending on which manufacturer it is,
Yes.
will work with that. I will check and see. I'm not sure if there is an app or for Chromebooks, but I'll check the web store real quick.
Okay, thank you. So one of these are definitely good options if you're on that particular type of device. Otherwise, I think it'll be this one, but Ashley's checking for us. Thank you.
There actually is a Chrome extension on the web store for it, and I'm going to pop that link down into the chat.
Awesome. And Larry, have you used Audacity extensively? Have you done mixing? Cool. So good. We're going to talk about just the basics today. Just the basics, but Audacity is capable of doing a lot of stuff. When you first open it, it's going to look overwhelming. And I'm going to show you what you need to do in only 20 seconds. So don't be afraid of it being overwhelming. So please, if you have not, go ahead and download Audacity for your device. We've got about 6 minutes to do that. I'm going to play an audio lesson that I created a few months ago for a theater class, a middle school theater class on audience etiquette. In the meantime, that is 6 minutes long. So we've got 6 minutes to get Audacity downloaded and ready to go. Getting there. What's the last movie you were really excited to go see? Like, really excited. Like, I've been following this release date 4 months and now it's finally here and I'm so happy I could burst. Excited. You're finally there. It's opening weekend. You have the best seats in the house, a giant bucket of popcorn, and that long, long line of trailers for other, much less exciting movies is finally over. And that glorious first scene begins. It's almost like your soul leaves your body, like you're not in a movie theater at all. You're really there, really feeling the wind on your... And you're back, sitting in a seat in a dingy old movie theater. Sharing the space with some guy who has no respect for the months and months you've waited to see this movie, seething with rage and frustration, wishing you could go back in time and pick a different showing with more considerate and respectful moviegoers like yourself. You may not have heard the term audience etiquette before, but you've certainly experienced it. Every time the little public service announcement at the movies reminds you to turn off your cell phone and refrain from texting during the film, you're being reminded of the expectations involved in being a good audience member. Audience etiquette refers to the behavior guidelines expected of all people who attend a show. These may be social, unwritten guidelines enforced by death stares from your neighbors, or they may be written rules for the theater that could result in violators being escorted out of the building. Many of the audience etiquette expectations are the same for live theater as they are for movies. But because live theater is more expensive, more difficult to access, and less predictable than recorded movies, these expectations can be more strict and even more important to follow. You've already heard one of these. And this one too. Always turn off your cell phone in the theater. And notice the emphasis here, turn it all the way off, because this can certainly ruin a moment too. Of course, other noisy things should be avoided as well. Yeah, that drink was gone a long time ago, buddy. In many theaters, food and drink are not allowed in the house at all. You should generally plan to just hold off until intermission. One thing that separates movies from theater is that the actors in front of you and the technicians creating all the effects are actually really right there with you. Have you ever wondered why the phrase no flash photography is used at performances? The flash of a camera can temporarily blind the actors on the stage. This is annoying, sure, but it can also be very dangerous when the actor is moving, dancing, or even flying through the air. Because theater happens right there in front of you, it's also very important to arrive on time. That curtain is going to go up with or without you, so the general rule of thumb is to arrive at the theater at least 15 minutes before the show is set to begin. If you do arrive late, the house manager may make you wait until a certain time between scenes or acts to take your seat. Other theater goers in your row and behind you will not be pleased because remember, live theater cannot be paused and you can't hit the rewind button. Once seated, respectful audience members will do their very best to remain quiet. What? Thank you. Sometimes this can be really hard. Gesundheit. If you know that you're going to be sick on the day you have theater tickets, just call the box office. Request to reschedule. You'll enjoy yourself more when you're feeling better, and you'll be helping to keep other audience members, actors, and technicians healthy as well. The living, breathing people up there putting on your show thrive on your feedback. They love to know that you're enjoying what they have worked so hard to create. Laugh when something is funny. Cry when something is sad. And tell the actors and technicians that you appreciate their talent and hard work by applauding after each song, scene, and act. Unlike actors in the movies, these actors will hear you, and their performances will be that much stronger because of it. When someone tells you that they love what you're doing, aren't you more likely to keep doing it for them? Actors are just like you, and who knows, maybe you'll be where they are someday. This is what you need to know to start off on the right foot as a member of the audience. Practicing good audience etiquette will increase your own enjoyment of theater and maintain a positive, respectful atmosphere. It's time to get excited. Really excited about theater too. So that is an example of an entire audio lesson created on Audacity. Of course, it has multiple layers and multiple recordings. It has my voice many times. I recorded at least 20 little sound bites for that. On top of sound effects like a man sneezing or people whispering, and background music too, that was pulled down in volume so that it just played low in the background so that my voice was more prevalent over it. So that is what you can do eventually in Audacity. And of course, people do even more complicated things than that. But for our purposes, we are just going to do let me push present again, 20-second crash course. So when you open Audacity, you're going to see a screen that looks something like this. You won't see these blue lines in the middle yet. And all of these buttons are really overwhelming. It looks really scary, but there's really only 2 buttons you need to be concerned with. So this is a 20-second video that shows you what you need to know to record your voice for your students. To record audio using Audacity, just open the program, select your microphone, and then click record. Once you're done recording your voice, click stop, and then go to File, Export, export as MP3, name it, save it, the end. That's it. Like, that's all you got to do. All the other stuff is extra and can certainly be learned over time. And I've given you a couple of resources in your handout that show you how to get a little bit more in depth. But if you are just recording your voice to put into your presentations to explain how to do a math problem or to give detailed instructions or differentiation, then this is all you need to know. And it takes you so far with that 20-second introduction. So I'm going to stop share and then switch back. I have Audacity pulled up on my computer now. If you have yours installed, go ahead and pull yours up as well. So this is what Audacity looks like when you first open it. And there are more buttons that can be shown, but this is a good setup here. So what I did in that 20-second video was I made sure that my proper microphone was selected. Right here with the microphone icon, you can select which mic is hooked up to your computer. I have at least 2 mics on my computer now. I have one that is built into my webcam, and of course, those are usually awful. And then I have an external microphone here. So I want to make sure the external microphone is selected. And I can also select my recording channel, but the default on that one is going to be just fine. You can also select your speakers if you have more than one. External speakers like USB are usually a good idea. This one here for me is built into my computer monitor, not so great. So the important thing is this microphone. Make sure you've selected the microphone that you want. Then to record your voice, all you have to do is click the record button, and you'll notice these little blue lines start showing up that shows you that your voice is being recorded. When you're done, just click stop, and that's your recording. There's a couple of things that you can do here. If you went a little too far, you can just click and highlight and then click the delete button. That's it. That's all you got to do. I do that regularly. I'll let it go a little farther so it doesn't catch me clicking on my keyboard. Or if my dog barks in the middle of a recording, I can go quiet. I can go back to just that section and delete just that section. So editing is really that easy. All I'm doing is clicking and dragging and hitting the delete button. Now, if I play it, since I wasn't listening to what I was deleting, it could be a little interesting. Let's see. Starts you that your voice is being heard. Yeah, so there was a weird moment there where one word blended into another. So you can listen to your audio to figure out what you want to delete and then go from there. Once you have your recording the way you want it, you can just click on File and then Export export as any file type you want, but MP3 is probably the best for you to choose. And once you've done that, you just name it in the file naming box, click save, and that's all you got to do. That's it. So pretty straightforward. It's a complicated looking program, but it's not as complicated as it looks for just recording these simple sound bites for what we want to use them for. So, what I would like for you guys to do is to give it a try. So, we are just here. You are going to create your own audio sample. Please do turn off your camera and mute your mic because we're all going to be talking in our own respective places at the same time, and we don't want to pick up each other's voices. So turn off your camera, turn off your mic, and use the tutorials in the presentation to guide you as you create a sample. You can either do that in the presentation itself, or you can access them. Is my screen being shared right now, Ashley?
No, it's just you.
Okay.
Now it looks like it's coming on.
There we go. So you can access it here as well. So you can just click into adding audio to Google Slides, and you can click into our guiding presentation as well for the videos. So we are going to try to do a one breakout room that I'm going to go in. I'm going to leave everybody else in the main session. So if you have a question, you can just hop into that breakout room to ask me the question and I'll help you out. That way we're not picking up each other's audio. That's the hope for what we're going to do. If you're stumped for something to say, I have a couple of suggestions up on the screen. You could do ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, a short class welcome, your favorite movie or book quote, celebrity impersonation, which I'm really hoping for, your best dad joke, again, really hoping for that one, your philosophy of education, a commercial jingle or tagline, or you could even give directions to a store. Any of those are fine, and anything else is fine too. If you want to live out your karaoke dream right now, please do it. Once you're done recording your audio, hang tight, and we are going to share those in a shared presentation here in just a moment. So can we?
We also have a couple of people who were unable to download Audacity, and so they're just going to hang out and observe.
Yes.
If they have any questions, I do encourage them to pop in the breakout room with you and ask away there. I will pause the recording so we don't have a bunch of dead airspace in the middle of our recording.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Make sure you can get in there okay and that I've done it correctly. There we go. I see people starting to come in. So from there, here's what you should see. So we are going to share our recordings, and your recording could just be twinkle twinkle. It could just be hello, my name is. It doesn't matter. You're good. So here's what you should do. Choose a page. Remember to look for these little circular portraits over there. You'll be able to see who else is on the page by the little circles that are also clicked onto it. Choose a page, then type your name onto your page. It doesn't have to be your real name if you're uncomfortable putting in your real name. It can be a nickname or it can be initials, whatever you'd like, but type in a name or nickname so that that page is now yours. Then insert your audio sample the way that we discussed earlier. Make sure your sharing settings are set correctly. And then optionally, you can design or decorate. You could add a description for what it is and go from there. So I did a quick example here. I used an Unsplash photo for my background and then put in my audio and typed my name. You can do it however you would like. While you're doing that, notice up here for add-ons in Google Slides, you can always add more. So I have Pear Deck on here and I have Unsplash, which I highly recommend. But of course, you can get more than that for accessibility, for recording audio. lots of options there. So if you've never used the add-ons feature, it's a good feature to use. So give that a try.
Shelly, we have a couple of people that were on Chromebooks and some that were currently working with students, so you may not see everyone share an example in that. And while you're talking about add-ons, my favorite one is Magic Rainbow Unicorn. And it makes sure text, rainbow, and ombre. And it's super snazzy.
That sounds wonderful. Let's just do this then. Oh my gosh. Look at that. That one.
I think so. Yes, it makes your text all kinds of fun.
We'll get that. And see how easy it is to add an add-on.
It works in Google Docs as well.
Yes. Excellent, guys. Yes. Perfect. Oh my goodness.
To answer your question, Darby, I would probably not use it with students that I knew may have visual issues. It's more for fun. I use it a lot of times on notes when I'm taking them, just because. Why not?
That is a good point. So just a little overshare. I have optic nerve damage from a neurological disorder. So contrast is really important to me, which is why I used, a dark bright blue and white on top of it here. So thank you for being so aware of those issues because people like myself really appreciate it. And that's a good point too, because there's a difference between fun work and academic work. And it's good to develop those different voices between this is for me and this is for something else. This is for school. This is for a specific expectation or a specific audience. So it's helpful in teaching that address to audience as well. Okay, so let's take a quick look over here. These are all beautifully decorated, by the way. So if anybody does not want me to play their audio, say so. You can send me a private message and I won't do it. But I'd like to hear what some people have created. So if you're not comfortable with it, let me know. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. Okay, BC, you are up first.
Hi, this is my practice recording. I do think the kids would really like this, especially if we start doing something like this with their feedback to us or our feedback to them.
Yes, excellent idea. So good. Yes. Let's see, getting up there. Beautiful smiley face. All right. Aha. So this one's
25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why.
Great. So in the background of that one, you could hear something else going on. So make sure that you have everything else quiet and make sure that you are close enough to your mic without eating it. Of course, if you eat your mic, that's going to sound terrible. Beautiful. Now, if you are interested in using something like Audacity to record full-length samples, so a 6-minute audience etiquette lesson, for example, or a mini podcast, you could do a podcast with your students where you interview them or they interview each other. Then I do suggest you invest in an external microphone. So my mic, you'll probably hear my voice getting louder. My mic is caught on my speaker. There we go. This guy has a pop guard, which is this little mesh thing right here that keeps me from popping into the mic too much. And it is, there we go, balanced so that it absorbs sound a little bit better. And this thing was like $20 on Amazon. It was not expensive at all. And it has pretty decent sound quality for that cost. So that's a good external thing to have if you wanted to do that. Yes. Headsets are good. You can hear, of course, yourself better in a headset. Lapel mics, for those who don't know, are the little mics that clip onto your shirt. They're little bitty. If you go for a lapel mic, make sure that it says cardioid on it. Cardioid. Did I spell that correctly? Cardioid mic. I did. So a cardioid mic is going to only record in front of it because it is shaped. Let's see if Google will show me a picture. Yep. It's shaped like an upside down squished up heart, right? So it only records what's coming directly into the microphone front itself. It doesn't record what's behind it. So it doesn't pick up so much of the swish of your clothing or anything happening behind you. It only picks up the stuff from the front. So make sure if you do a lapel, cardioid is what you get. Okay, how are we going? Very good. Let's try this, Kim.
Here are some jokes that
Good.
my nephew loves to tell me.
Yes.
What is brown and sticky? A brown stick. Where does the general keep his armies? Up his sleeveys. And what do you get when you put an alligator in a vest? An investigator.
I love them. Yes, yes, please. Now, another trick, if you embed little goofy dad jokes or nephew jokes like that in your presentations and you don't label them, they're just there as a sound bite, then it kind of sends kids on like a scavenger hunt quest. They're going to keep listening to your audio files because they know that one of them is going to be a goofy joke. They don't know which. So they're going to end up listening to all of them as a grab bag sort of situation. Love that. Fantastic.
Shelly, do you have a suggestion on what file format to search if someone saved it to their desktop but cannot locate the file?
It depends. If you did save it to your desktop as an MP3, it'll be there, but there are other options. Let me pull that up. So it could be, come on. When you click on File and Export, you could also have chosen these on accident or intentionally. So it could be any of those. And if you still have Audacity pulled up and you haven't deleted out your recording, you can just save it again with a specific name and that would work too. So for example, here's a file. Export as MP3. And I'm going to name it test1. And OK. And now test1 is on my desktop. And I could save it again and again and again with different names too. Okay, so here is one. So notice if the share settings are not set up correctly for everyone can view, then we won't be able to hear the file. So you have to make sure that those share settings are set to everyone with the link can view. And again, I like doing that in a specific Google Drive folder so that every file I add to that folder is going to have those share settings automatically, but you can do it individually as well. But your students will see you do not have access to this file if your share settings are not set to be open like that. Yeah. Okay. So as you guys are finishing that up, I have the next thing to go to, but keep on going. You're good. So here is a list of resources on a Wakelet. The Wakelet is available to everybody, but it might ask for your name when you first go to it. And it is a list of presentation and publication tools. It'll walk you through in complexity from top to bottom what you need to be able to create this virtual classroom and to upload audio. And I've put in a few extras here as well. So of course, Google Slides and a creativity link for Google Slides, because they do more than most people think. You may be an expert, but there's always something new that shows up in Google Slides. So don't be afraid to be creative with it. Of course, Bitmoji was real popular last year, and you can use it or not, but there it is. There's the example one and a virtual classroom builder. So this is really useful if you want to make your own virtual classroom, because it has everything you need to put one together yourself. It has furniture and decorations, it has whiteboards, all of that stuff. And you can create it yourself by just copying the images from this builder into your own Google Slides presentation. I have used this link more than anything else this year, I think. Remove.bg. Remove.bg is a really quick way to remove the background from any image. So if you want just an apple, not an apple sitting on a table, just an apple, you can upload that original photo of an apple sitting on a table to remove.bg, and it will give you just the apple at that point with a clear background. That is super useful in so many situations, especially if you're wanting to create clickable buttons. That is very helpful. This is a 30-second tutorial for how to create those clickable buttons. It works the exact same way as hyperlinking words, but you're just hyperlinking an image. There's Audacity and some Audacity tutorials as well, especially if you want to go a little farther and start mixing audio with sound effects and with music. That is all there, and that will get you started there. Audio and Slide and GIF makers. In the tutorial I made for you on uploading audio into Slides presentations, I use just Giphy to create those GIFs with a recording from Screencastify. You can also make your own logos with this free logo design website if you wanted to make a logo for your class, or if you were interested in creating a class podcast, you can make a logo just for that. And the templates that I used today were from Slides Carnival. I used Canva, like fish drink water. Canva's wonderful. There's Pear Deck as well, and a couple more tutorials. So that whole list is there for later reference, and you can access it whenever you would like. So next up is a question. We are due for a break. Our remaining content, it says, will take about 30 minutes, but really it'll probably take about 15. About 15 minutes left, and then any additional time can be spent in questions or experimenting with a Discord server. How much time should we take for our break? You should see a question pop up, and it gives you 3 options. Select the option that you want the most. This is a handy tool too with your students. If you have a long presentation, such as introducing vocabulary, things like that, adding in one of these every now and then is useful to see what your kids want. Sometimes they do want a break. Sometimes they want 30 seconds. Sometimes they want 5 minutes. And letting them pick, of course, gives them that autonomy and that feeling of being valued by their teacher. And then it makes them more likely to pay closer attention when you return from that break. So that ownership is really useful. So 2 minutes is currently winning. So let's take a 2-minute break and be back then. So see you in 2 minutes. So we are going to hop on into the next little step, which is going to be mostly asynchronous and available for you guys to play around with. How do you receive—
Shelly, you lost audio a little bit. It sounds like your head is in a coffee can.
Oh no, it's because I moved that mic around. Is that any better? How's that? Still bad?
Now you have 0 audio.
1 sec.
Due to technical difficulties, we are taking an extra long break in this moment. Thank you so much for joining us. If I had the Jeopardy music theme, I would play it right now, but I do not.
Session's been about audio. Now, from a technical theater perspective, I will tell you that the hardest job ever is audio. Audio is hard because it is always the thing that messes up, and it is always the thing that people know to turn around and look backwards about because they stare at you when you're in the booth. It is terrifying for an introvert. Robin asked how you receive credit for PD. You're going to get an email in about 24 to 48 hours with your certificate. It will be for 2 hours, but we will not be spending an actual 2 hours. Okay, so we're going to hop back in real quick and talk about one more communication tool that I introduced a little earlier, and it is Discord. So take a moment, if you will, and create an account or log into your account if you already have one. Do verify your email address because I've set us up a sample server that has some security precautions on it that require you to have a verified email address to be able to join. So March, I created a Discord server for my students, and it kept us sane, especially in that first crazy semester when fear and panic were the primary emotions of the day. That Discord server helped to connect us through our relationships. It helped to provide affective support to my students who were terrified of course, and I know yours were as well. And they sent me this lovely little meme in the meantime, which is precious. Teachers that use Zoom, yep, they're sweet, they're wonderful. Teachers that use Discord, that's Miss Frizzle. So made me feel good. Discord is a multimedia chat platform. I'm going to switch off of this share and move into one that is just for this Discord server. It's similar to like WebEx Teams or Slack if you've used that in a business setting, but it is very much for one person to control or for multiple people to control instead of being routed through a specific organization, a school, or through a business. One person can create a Discord server and set up the moderation abilities however they would like. So Kim has already joined in. I just right clicked her name, went down to roles, and I've made her an educator. So her name's now going to be purple, and she has some more permissions than a student would have. I am an administrator. There's my role there. So I wanted to show you a couple of things while you're getting set up. I used Discord very successfully in Arkansas Governor School last summer. It was the first and probably only time that Governor School was online. And of course, these are 11th grade, well, rising seniors of high ability. But we created this server here and we've been using it ever since. Actually, you see my students are still in here with me. So in this server, I set up multiple text channels. There was a general channel where we just talked to each other about whatever we wanted to talk about. There was a channel only I had permission to post in, where I posted their instructions for the next day's class. So it says for Tuesday, July 21st, play any online multiplayer game. Attend a 410 or watch Governor Hutchinson's public address with the YouTube link for how to watch that address. So they couldn't reply in this channel. They could just see what I had posted. I also had channels set up for voice chat I may have messed up my mic when I pulled it a second ago. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you. You just got a little bit quieter. It kind of goes in and out just a little bit.
Yeah, I put it in I built my computer and one of the USB ports I made too loose. So, and that's the one it's in right now. So
You're back to being sounding okay right now.
Yeah, I'm leaned up towards the mic. There's always going to be technical difficulties, even with tech savvy folks. Thanks. You know what? Here, I'll just hold the mic. How's that? Is that better?
Sounds beautiful. Very professional.
Thank you. So in Discord, you also have voice chat channels. If I enter a voice chat channel, it tells me I did with a little beep beep, right? And I can act in this channel with my voice. I can also turn on video chat down here. The same way that Zoom works or any other video conferencing, Discord has it too. I can also share my screen. Discord was originally created for gamers, and gamers use Discord to stream their games, what they're doing in a game world. But that's not the way we used it. We used it to actually communicate with each other, especially when we got into independent projects. So I'm going to leave this chat channel just like that. It was great. I loved it. So my students were given a project for social change. They had to choose some problem in society and come up with some partial or complete solution. They did that on their own. For each individual group or individual student, I gave them their own text channel. So in that text channel, they could speak just with each other. Because, and Tina asked, how do I monitor conversations? I am the only one as the instructor up here with administrative privileges. So I'm the moderator, which means I can see all of it. And I can even set up notifications to where as soon as somebody posts something anywhere, it pings me and I can see it. So, for example, um, in this group that chose destigmatizing mental health, they simply shared their contact information and then posted their final project. That's all they did. But others may have put in more or less. This group just put in a whole bunch of memes. Look at that. So they can do whatever they want to be able to communicate. This student didn't use their channel at. And I also gave them their own dedicated voice chat channel so that they could communicate just with each other and not stand the risk of being stuck in a general channel with other people in the class. They have their own little group chat there. Now, in this server, though, it is very important to set up moderations. You want to set up permissions so that your server is safe and that it is school and age appropriate. So, those are also built in, but you have to know where to find them. So, in our sample class that Kim and I are in, I have actually posted a Discord orientation. This is a series of 3 videos that tells you what Discord is, how to create your own server, and how to set up those moderations and privacy settings for use with your students. There are lots and lots of settings to choose from. You can make it very, very restrictive, or you can make it very open. Depending on your age of student and your purpose, you would want to select for you. But those orientation videos will talk you through. If you would like to hop into this server, then you can start playing with it. I've made a channel for social chat that's just general where you can type whatever you want. And I've set it up the way I would set up my class. So, questions for Miss House, you're welcome to type questions for me there and I will answer them. But I would have that channel there for my students to ask me specific questions, and other students could see those as well. Because, if you get a question from one student, there are 10 other students who are wondering the same thing, and all of the answers are in the same spot. A reminder channel I would set up so that only I could post in it, and I would use it similarly to a Remind 101. But you guys may have noticed as instructors that kids are starting to tune out Remind 101. They're starting to not want to sign up for it. Still offer it, of course, but it's a good workaround for that. And then individual channels for the different topics or units that we would be talking about in class. I also have groups set up down here so that they could communicate with each other by voice or through video chat on their own, just with their group members. So the rest of our session, let's see, here is the server. If you click on that link there, it will take you straight to that server. But if you haven't verified your email address, it won't let you in yet because of security permissions. So there's a server. You are welcome to hop on and play around. I would love to answer questions or show you how my students have used it. But that is a good place, I think, to ask for any questions that you might have. Do you guys have any questions at this point? Okay, well, I hope that you will check out this Discord server and play around with it because it was an invaluable tool for me throughout both academically and affectively in connecting with my kids and staying connected to this day. So check it out, play around with it. You can look through those orientation videos to learn how to set up those moderation settings, and you can actually use the questions for Miss House chat to ask questions as you come to them, and I will answer. The information from today is in this handout. I'll post that link again. right here. So everything is there that we went over directly or indirectly. There we go. Thank you. Oh, that went to Kim again. Sorry, Kim. There you go. So that's where you can find everything. And please, if you have questions or if you want to go further with any of this, I would love to help you out. You can email me or you can connect with me on that Discord server. So I'm going to stick around for any questions or to talk about any other tech tools you might be interested in. I love tech tools. That you guys are welcome to go, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. And as far as Discord goes, we actually use it with our graduate classes that we're teaching for the Online Teaching Academy. And I just posted a wellness check and had immediately 6 people respond. So it's a great way that is instantaneous to check in with students too.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Courtney says thank you. It's she's got it on a direct message to me.
Yes. Thank you. Remember, I'm happy to answer questions after this. I would love to be of help.